We will call the meeting to order and welcome everyone here this evening. First regular monthly meeting, business meeting, so we'll get right to business. First, I would like to ask Lauren Sampson if she would come forward and lead us in our pledge allegiance to the flag. Lauren?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lauren, you might want to sit on the front. Lauren, might want to sit on the front row because I'm going to get to you in just a minute. Thank you. Okay, approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, we have with us this evening, and this is the start of a tradition. We will have a student and a teacher each month from one of our schools, and this month they're from the Zebulon Middle School. So the student of the month you just met is Lauren Sampson, and she's been selected by Zebulon Middle School as the student of the month. She's an 8th grade student at Zebulon Middle, a bright and shining star in the Zebulon community, Zebulon Middle School community. She's an all-star A student with a great character. She's always willing to help others by volunteering in her classes, and is often willing to complete tasks that others aren't willing to do. Lauren proudly leads our school in the Pledge of Allegiance almost every morning. Lauren, is really good to have you here. So turn around and let these folks see who you are. We have the teacher of the month with us as well, if she would come forward. Ms. Rugemer, I hope I did that correctly. Yes. Thank you. She's been selected by Zebulon Middle School as the teacher of the month, currently teaches 8th grade science, and serves as the science department chair. Ms. Rugemer serves on the school improvement team and has provided vital leadership for curriculum needs focused on student learning. Ms. Rugemer is also our Science Olympiad advisor, in which she has helped raise $750 this year to support the program and competitions. Most recently, she took 5 Science Olympiad students to compete at NC State in the rally car race, in which Zebulon Middle School won 2nd place overall and Best Portfolio and Best in Creativity. And thank you very much. I thank both of you for coming, and I think this is the start of a great tradition. Do either of you have something you'd like to say?
She's one of my students. She's a
Okay. Well, thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Okay, now we have public comment period, and the clerk tells me no one signed up to speak. So then we have the consent agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Old business, community economic development update. Denise, Joe, who?
I'll introduce Denise.
All right.
Per the Community and Economic Development Agreement between the town and the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber has been asked to provide updates on community and economic development efforts. With us tonight is Executive Director Denise Now with the Zebulon Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Joe. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Commissioners.
Evening.
So in partnering with the town of Zebulon to begin the work of economic development for the good of the community, the Chamber would like to update the town board on activities relating to growth in the business community. The conversation about this agreement and discussion began early in the spring, and then your budgeting for the 2017 agreement was passed at the June meeting. The formalized agreement was passed by the Chamber Board at their September meeting, and then the formalized agreement from the Town Board was passed by your folks at the October meeting. So as part of the agreement, we're providing this first update. I'm going to mention a couple of key points from the agreement and then share the update on how those relate to the progress that we've made based on what has occurred so far. The key points of the partnership included, one, the Chamber partnering with the town to create local job opportunities by attracting new businesses and encouraging business startups by organizing and hosting an economic forum, organizing and hosting a mentorship and support program between new business owners and existing Chamber members, and attending the Basics of Economic Development course at UNC's School of Government. The second one was the Chamber partnering with the town to recognize and support local agriculture, farming businesses as an important contributors to local economy, diversity, health, and fiscal stability by securing local agricultural and farming businesses, particularly vendors from the Farm Fresh Market, to participate in things like holiday happenings, organizing and hosting the May Day in Zebulon event, and assisting in the securing Farm Fresh vendors to participate. Generally also promoting the Farm Fresh Market, because that's such a key piece for what we do here in Zebulon. And then third was the Chamber partnering with the town to promote downtown through special events by hosting and organizing holiday happenings in Zebulon, which consists of the vendor market, of tree lighting, and the annual Christmas parade. So based on those three key things, what have we accomplished together so far? Under the first point, the Chamber hosted the Zebulon Next Economic Growth Conference in October. The event brought in local and regional business speakers to address economic trends and conditions. 97 community leaders were in attendance from a wide range of business industries. 5 local and regional businesses were contracted to provide the breakfast. I wanted to mention 2 specifically. Martha's Jams is a local small agriculture business and a Farm Fresh Market vendor. And then Brown Bag Bagels, he's another Farm Fresh Market vendor, but he's also very interested in opening up another location, and he's actually currently pursuing the option for a storefront here in Zebulon, so that's an encouragement. 6 businessmen and women have since that Zebulon Next event have since approached the Chamber, sharing their interest in working alongside the Chamber as we engage in economic development. So seeing the results of an event like that where community people actually get together then and come say we want to be a part of it, that's what we are looking for. Expense, I think one of the things that I'm supposed to share back with you guys are these events where we're partnering together, some of the expenses. So after sponsorships for this event, the expenses are going to be at $2,400. Under the second point that refers to securing local agriculture and engaging Farm Fresh Market vendors and holiday happenings, there's a little overlap here between this one and the next point. The Chamber reserved space for 5 Farm Fresh Market vendors to participate in Saturday's holiday happenings vendor market. Regarding May Day in Zebulon, while it occurred technically before the town agreement was in place, the Chamber had organized and hosted the event. We decided, we knew we were moving toward this direction of partnering together, so we went ahead and held it as a May Day in Zebulon event, considering the partnership already. We created kind of a first-time collaborative event that didn't just highlight the 5K run, which is what it had been in the past. It highlighted the 5K run, the Farm Fresh Market, the Carolina Mudcats, and several nonprofits that were also hosting events on that same day. One key point that bears mentioning was the spillover increase for the market. Customers, there was an increase in customers because people that concluded the race were very interested in buying fresh local produce. So it was great not only that the event happened on the same day, but the partnership between the town and the Chamber of being able to host it in proximity of one another was really great. Expenses after this event, we actually had strong sponsorships for this event, so the expenses at the end of the event was $300. In reference to promoting the Farm Fresh Market, the Chamber has posted the market's weekly events throughout the season, and then as we become stronger at promoting Zebulon and the Chamber through social media platforms, we've just brought the Farm Fresh Market along with that as well. So we continue to promote them. And then under the third point, which addresses the promotion of downtown, this is where a little bit of that overlap point comes in. The Chamber organized and hosted holiday happenings this past weekend. Several partnerships made it a seamless 2-day of events. Saturday's pop-up vendor market brought 31 businesses to the downtown. 19 of those 31 who attended were actually local to our area, so within 15 miles of either right here in Zebulon or within 15 miles. 5 of those were the Farm Fresh Market vendors. One vendor actually owns a downtown business and came because she could not only promote herself there at the market, but also say, come shop with me, I'm only a block away. So that was an encouragement as well. The first 150 attendees received a gift. Vendors were given the opportunity to include coupons or other incentives in these bags. So the gift was a shopping bag, which we used as twofold. We used it to track attendees, and then we also used it as an incentive for them to purchase things and put them in the bag. We actually gave away 150 bags within the first 2 hours of the market. So knowing that we had attracted that many customers potentially for all those vendors was really exciting. The partnership with Public Works made it really easy for the vendors to come and sell from a space that was already set up with tents and tables. Both PNC Bank and Dallas Pierce Realty offered use of their space. Having Santa at the market in the afternoon meant that families brought their kids, which equated to a steady flow of traffic for the vendors. And just a quick note here, several of you made it out to the market. Your presence was such an encouragement, as well as your willingness to contribute to the success of the day through your support of the vendors. So thank you for monetarily investing in those business owners. We never know when one of these business owners might decide to do business in Zebulon and actually bring their whole business here. So I feel like this is a good opportunity for us to just make sure that we're engaged. The Chamber approached each of our downtown restaurants leading up to the event to let them know that the market was going to be there and give them the opportunity to either stay open or offer special lunch or dinner items. And then we promoted all of the restaurants that were open to our vendors. And it was great because we got to see bags from the various different restaurants where vendors had gone for lunch and actually spent money with our restaurants here in town. Then the evening, caroling and tree lighting brought about another 60 to 80 people downtown, which was another example of collaboration. Dallas Pierce Realty offered the use of their lawn for the tree. Public Works set up and decorated the tree, and then the Downtown Beautification Committee wrapped presents to create that atmosphere for the tree. 5 churches and 1 local school participated in the caroling. And then yesterday's Christmas parade was another great event because of a strong partnership between the town and the Chamber. 75 entries participated in the parade. That was up from about 50 last year. Where we couldn't control the weather, 2 of our bands canceled out of concern for their instruments being subjected to the rain. Very sad for that because we wanted those extra bands. While the Chamber is adept at organizing and hosting events, we are not the equipped resource for all the resources and manpower needed to handle all that's required for events of this magnitude. So the continued partnership with Zebulon Public Works and the police department were so critical, continue to be critical for the success of an event like this. Preliminary profit and loss numbers show expenses after sponsorships to be approximately $1,600. Noteworthy items back to the agreement that we have there in terms of economic development for Zebulon. The transportation referendum that both the town and the Chamber passed resolutions supporting, that was passed in last month's elections and will definitely be beneficial for Zebulon. So then what's on the horizon as far as how our agreement stands and some of the things in the agreement that we haven't completed yet. So the next steps will include continuing to forge that welcoming environment to attract new businesses and encourage business startups. I know there's a strong impact of the UDO that we're looking at approving because that makes it more just warm and welcoming for businesses to come and do business here. Conversations, just some things that are going on right now that I'll tell you a little bit about. There's some conversations between a local realtor, an area developer, and 2 interested businesses for the Tart property at the corner of 64 and Arundel. I was contacted last week by someone who has just purchased a commercial building downtown in Zebulon, and he's asked to come and meet. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't have details yet, but I'm looking forward to that. And then we're also in the beginning stages. We've had initial conversations with each of these groups. It's Wake Tech, U.S. Foods, NAMECO, GlaxoSmithKline, and AMET Technologies. And the next step for them is to have a collaborative conversation where we talk about what are we doing to make sure that the workforce pipeline is filled, that we have the workers that we need. And then just another side note to that is also beginning conversations with our schools, specifically with Zebulon Middle School, and talking about how do we engage these businesses also all the way down from high school and middle schools to make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do to prepare our students. So another thing is creating mentorship opportunities between the new and existing businesses. That's another thing that we'll continue working on. Training that I'll attend to gain information on working in the economic development space. I will attend the basics of economic development at UNC's School of Government. They only offer that once a year, so we've just, since the agreement came into play, there's not been a class offered yet that I could attend before that. So in the meantime, I've reached out to Adrian Cole a couple of times, and we'll continue that because I feel like it's important to continue strengthening that connection with them, and then also to ensure that Zebulon has a voice for economic development as we go forward. And to conclude, we're in a very good place. The town and the chamber have an agreement to work together for the good of this community, and that agreement is giving us a good path to follow. So on behalf of the Zebulon Chamber of Commerce, our members, and the Board of Directors, we look forward to continuing to strengthen the partnership. And so your next report will be in March at your town meeting. And I'm happy to answer questions.
Question?
Just thank you for everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the great collaboration. Coming here a year and 5 months ago was exciting, and it just continues to be exciting because there's so much that I feel like is in store for your community, and I thank you for letting me be a part of it.
One thing I would elaborate on with you, and I mentioned this the other day because I didn't want to surprise you, but when it comes to training, there are other courses besides that essentials of economic development, not only offered by the School of Government, but I understand that there's a very good economic course offered by BB&T.
Very good.
Are you familiar with that?
I've only heard about that. I've not pursued that one yet, and I will continue as you know, resources that are available, that's great. And then Adrian has shared with me a few as well.
Okay.
So,
I
but
just
thank
want to
you.
be sure that you keep working on those skills.
Correct. Thank you.
You answered my other question, so. thank
Very,
you.
very good. Okay, great. That's great. I'm gonna jot that down about BB&T.
Anything else from the board? Thank you, Denise.
Thank you very much.
Okay, planning, UDO contract.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. Tonight we've got a contract before you, agreement with CodeWright. This is basically brought on by all the background materials and work product that were delivered to date. This is a review of that, the diagnostic report and the UDO chapters. They went through that and prepared a project status memorandum, which pretty much detailed the results of the work session that they held with staff, along with issues for consideration moving forward. And then they offered a potential framework for proceeding with it. They held several stakeholder committee meetings and then developed a revised scope based on those initial meetings and developed a plan for moving forward. At the November 15th work session, they presented the findings of that and then overview of the project, and then a document structure, and then key recommendations moving forward. And then provided also a initial UDO draft deliverables for which this contract followed that scope of work and budget along with the schedule there. The contract is a continuation of the scope of work that has been completed to date, which does incorporate the findings from their original report and memorandum. We feel that time is of the essence, given the amount of development pressures that we currently see and continue to see, and feel that the UDO is a proper growth management tool that we can use for that growth. Again, the scope that is provided follows that same scope that was provided at the work session on the 15th. It is within the current budget that we've allocated. I think the only thing that was added that wasn't included was just I think a $3,000 contingency, which if we need it, it's there. If not, it goes back. But aside from that, based on the rough schedule, around December, January next year, we should have the UDO draft complete, and then a few months after that, the procedures manual will be concluded as well. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Question?
Mark, I got a question about, I'm looking at a timeline of what month are we in now?
We were using roughly January of this coming next year, early next year, as the first month in that. So it's
Well, I was just looking at 3 months of investigation. It sounds like that should be complete by now.
some of that has been completed to date. However, we're hoping to get out in the community, get the stakeholders involved, and really bring in developers, engineers, architects, development community, as well as the public, civic groups, churches, schools, try to get them on board as well and get their input. So some of that has been done on our end, but I think for the community as a whole, I think we're hoping to get out and do some more investigation.
Okay, so January will be the starting point?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Other questions? All right, what we need then is a motion, if you so desire, for approval of the contract.
I make a motion that we approve the contract with Code Right.
Is there a second? Second. Motion second. Other comments or discussion? All in favor? And the motion carries. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Streetscape Match Program.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. Tonight, I'm excited to come before you and, on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and the Zebulon Women's Club, request a streetscape match to purchase a Christmas tree. As you well know, the last 2 years, the Zebulon Public Works Department has worked closely with the Chamber of Commerce and the Women's Club to host the downtown tree lighting ceremony. This past year, we saw a significant growth in the number of participants that Denise mentioned earlier that attended this event. We feel like this is the time to try to expand on this program. We'd love to see this program grow, and we feel like purchasing a new, larger commercial tree is the way to go with this process. To show support for this program and the Streetscape Match, the Women's Club and the Zebulon Chamber of Commerce have both deposited $1,000 each on hand with the town of Zebulon, and are requesting that the balance of the tree purchase of $1,950 be matched by the town. A couple of things that were noted in the Chamber's letter, that the tree will be owned in entirety by the town. It will be stored by the town, and Public Works will be responsible for annual installation of the tree for the event. We feel like this request is consistent with the policy that you recently adopted. We also feel that this, you had $10,000 budgeted for this street state type of match. This will leave $8,099.50 left in the budget for other people to come and participate. So at this point in time, we request that you match the request from the Zebulon Chamber of Commerce and the Women's Club, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I think it's important to note publicly that this tree is expected to have a minimum life of 10 years.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So, I mean, that looks like a lot of money for a Christmas tree, but when you look at it in that kind of lifespan,
Absolutely, yeah. Our vendors said a minimum of 10, and it's not uncommon for them to get as much as 15 years.
Other questions?
Where's the tree gonna be kept?
Well, Public Works will be responsible for storing it. We'll either put it in one of our connexes down at the old recycling center or potentially up here in our storage at Town Hall.
Now, this tree's got a frame?
It is a frame base, it's a panel section, it's got a 8-foot wide base. It'll be 14 feet tall, and we'll basically assemble it in panels, and then at the top, there'll be a 4-foot star at the top.
Will this not be available for this year, right?
That is correct, it'll be for next year.
Other questions? Okay, is there a motion to approve the request?
So moved.
Second?
Motion made and second. Other comments or discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
All right. The other Chris.
I'll take it.
There you go.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. I have before you tonight a budget amendment relative to some fire protection funds. If you may recall, back during our budget process of last year, we estimated funding to be received from the county for fire protection. However, as our budget process moved along, the county's process moved just a little bit slower than we did. So when the county's budget was adopted, it actually included more funding for Zebulon than what we had anticipated was going to be the case. That's a welcome surprise, but it was, as we went through, part of that was as we went through the cost share process. And what you see in the staff report is there's a difference of $19,898 that will be received additionally than what we actually budgeted. So we need to allocate that money. Similarly, as part of the county's budget process, they kicked off 4 projects for us to consider. However, we really weren't able to consider them because our budget process was moving along quicker than theirs were. But if you look at those 4 projects, just to give you just a brief overview, the county identified a need across the county to replace helmets, firefighting helmets that were over 10 years old, and of which we have quite a few that would fall into that category, about 31 helmets that fall over being over 10 years old. A project to replace old boots, likewise, it's a 10-year recommendation through the National Fire Protection Association, who makes recommendations on replacement of that type thing. There's a number of boots there. For us, it's about 15 pairs of boots that would fall in that category. And then there's 2 other projects that they wanted to kick off and make available to their contracting fire departments, one being annualized personal protective equipment. We change our personal protective equipment. We're talking about the coats, the pants, and that kind of thing. But those purchases go up and down depending on the gear. And the county's desire was to annualize that so we could budget for it a set amount every year instead of one year being, in our case, we had a couple of years ago where it was about $20,000 was just our share. And that number just goes up and down. Their intent was to annualize that, which is something that we very much support. And then the last item would be fit for duty physical examinations. Move into a system where all of our members receive physical exams that are geared with specific job task in hand for a firefighter to evaluate each person to make sure that they are physically capable to provide these the necessary physical functions as part of that. Those last 2 items are multi-year, but what we're talking about tonight is just this year. Anything beyond this year will be part of the upcoming budget processes. So if I can back up just a little bit, we've got about $19,898 that we need to allocate. If we allocate it towards these 4 projects, that will bring an additional amount of money from the county because they'll share in the cost of these projects. So if we take that $19,898 and we agree to do these 4 projects, we will receive an additional almost $16,000. About $15,727 would be the additional funding the county would provide for us to participate in these 4 projects. I won't go much deeper, I'll just field questions, but what you see in your staff report and the ordinance 2017-12 is the budget ordinance that would indeed do just that. It would authorize us to do those 4 projects, and it recognizes the revenue that would be coming from the county to take care of that. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Chris, I'm sorry, Bob.
No, go ahead.
Do you have a certain doctor that does the physicals, or they go to doctor of the choice?
The way the program is set, the counties actually bid these physicals out because they'll be providing them countywide. They elected a company out of Garner, Site Med, who does it everywhere. As the town, we can elect to go with their contractor that they have selected for the project, or we can go out on our own and choose a doctor locally, should we like to. And then there's a stipulate, basically, that says we have to provide a physical that meets the same requirements as what their contractor would. So we have the option of going on our own should we choose to do that.
My next question, just for general purposes, general information, what does it cost for turnout gear from head to toe right now? Do you know?
You're looking at about $2,000 for the jacket and the pants, and then $300 for a helmet, and about $300 for boots. And so then that still doesn't include gloves, somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 to $60 for a pair of gloves, plus the protective hood.
Max, yeah.
So you're probably looking very close to $3,000, and that wouldn't include any breathing equipment or anything like that.
So life expectancy is, I mean, I know they probably, they come up with new fabric and, all these cancer-causing agents out there right now, they want to make sure. Is it hard to keep up, or?
It is, and what we find, and you can imagine it, the standard that we're referring to here has a recommended service life of 10 years. Once it gets 10 years, we find that our more active, for example, our full-time paid staff, they can't get 10 years out of a jacket because they're just so involved. Some of our volunteers, depending on what their normal duties are, they can get the full 10 years without any problem. But some of our guys, 3 to 5 years is about maximum, given the wear and tear. And you can imagine it's the same jacket they wear day in and day out. Typically, our guys have one jacket, one pair of pants, and they wear them every day when they come to work. So,
Thanks.
sure.
I want to be clear, and I'm for this, so
Sure,
don't
sure.
read between the lines anything derogatory
Sure.
about it. But if we chose not to buy the allocation or the turnout gear and the physical exams, we would still get the 20, is that right?
Yes, sir. We're going to get you're exactly right. We're going to get
By them giving us 20 and telling us if we'll spend it this way, we get the 16.
That's exactly right.
I just wanted to be real clear on that.
You're exactly right. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I knew that's what you said. I just wanted to
Sure.
be sure I got it. Okay. All right. Other questions?
I make a
Pleasure.
motion that we adopt ordinance 2017-12.
Second.
Made and second. Other comments or discussion? All in favor? And the motion carries. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah. Board comments. Dale, let's start with you tonight.
No, I think it's a great idea that we're recognizing the students and the teachers and thing. Being a former teacher myself, I realize the fact that they need all the support they
Right.
get. And so I think that shows a great deal for them.
Well, the schedule has been set for the year, and will rotate between the schools, so we
Right.
won't have the middle
Yeah.
school each time. But, yeah, thank you. Don?
Just a little note, and I'm going to turn mine over to Joe here in just a few minutes for his comments. We've been working with DOT and Joey Hopkins on the future changes over on Industrial Drive. And I'm going to leave it at that and let Joe fill you in on the details. Although, it's early in its infancy, and there are more future plans to come for Industrial Drive. That's all I have.
It was a good weekend, Denise, in the town. I just wanted to tell them what a great job they did, and we appreciate, especially the chamber being concerned about downtown and the direction we wanted to go, and that's it.
And I had a great time Saturday, so it was a good thing.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank all the staff and the departments that collaborated in making sure that the parade and all the activities were ran smoothly. We appreciate that.
Thank you, and I'll echo those to thank all of our town employees for their hard work. And 'cause, I saw them out on the roads at night in the dark, taking down things and putting up things to begin with. So anyway, thank all of you, Chamber and our employees. Joe?
Okay, first, to follow up on Mr. Bumgarner's comments about Industrial Drive. As we've brought before this board already, particularly through the police department, we've been working with NAMACO and Eastwick Academy to try to make some improvements out on Industrial Drive. And there's some short-term fixes and there's some long-term fixes. And the fix that Mr. Bumgarner was referencing is one of the short-term fixes. DOT is going out there and creating a three-way stop at Industrial Drive and Innovative Way. And while it doesn't seem like it's a material difference, it makes a big impact, especially for a traffic officer trying to control traffic out there as school is letting out and shift is changing. So it doesn't appear to be a big change, but it's very helpful in the operations, but more so, it just reveals yet another partner in the partnership to help us try to solve this problem with DOT coming to the table. Beyond that, I had some public service announcements I wanted to make. First of all, Santa Claus is coming to Town Hall. It's this Friday, December 9th, and that will be the free photos with Santa. This is a program that we offer through our Parks and Rec department, and it's absolutely heartwarming to see everyone start to line up even before 5:30, but we'll have free photos with Santa downstairs in Town Hall from 5:30 to 7:30. We'll also have the senior adult Christmas breakfast this Friday morning at 9:30, and that is it's at the community center, correct? Okay. Zebulon Elementary, a gifted and talented chorus will be there to sing, and their drama class will be there as well to do a skit. So if you're interested in attending, you can call Mr. Greg Johnson directly at 823-1815. So if you're meant to keep it a secret, it's out there now. Wanted to pass along to the board that we're going to recommend that we not have a work session next week. That was going to be on historic preservation. We've talked to the Zebulon Preservation Group already, given them the heads up that we'd prefer to roll this to January. We also don't want to pull you out for just this one item. We want to spend a little bit more time on it as well. But also, this is going to be right on the heels of your special use hearing two days before. So no work session on the 14th. Town will be closed for the holidays from December 23rd and 26th through 26th. And then finally, I would like to recognize Chief Hayworth. He has an announcement that he would like to share with you all.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. I want to introduce to you Joshua Manning. Joshua is our newest employee at the police department. He came on board today, so he's not been sworn in yet. He doesn't have his badge and gun yet, but that's coming. But anyhow, Joshua started with us today. Joshua is from Grifton, North Carolina, down towards Greenville, and he's a graduate of Pitt Community College, VLET program there. And he kind of has his local ties to our area through having been a student at Southeastern Greenville Baptist College, and where he attended school there, traveled with the singing groups there, running their audio stuff. So maybe if we have some audio needs here in the building, we can use him for that too. But I just want to introduce you to him, and he's kind of processing in now, and then he'll be starting his 14-week field training program very shortly.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We're adjourned.